Good evening and welcome to round 11 of the UK SimRacers live from Road Atlanta. I am James Parfitt and I'm joined in the booth once again this season is Daan Pepels joining me. So Road Atlanta broke ground in 1969. It opened in 1970. Current events is the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Championship, the Moto America, the Trans Am Series as well. 3 configurations in its time as a circuit. 2 are currently in use, which is, believe it or not, the motorcycle circuit, which is 2008 to the present day, and the Grand Prix course, which is what we're driving today from 1998 to present. 2.54 miles, 4.088 kilometers, 12 turns on track, and current track record is a 107.056, held by Christian Klein in a Peugeot 908 HDI FAP 2008 LMP1. So there we go. What an absolute incredible circuit. Let's bring in Daan Pepels. Daan, good evening to you. How are you?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, James. Yeah, I am. I'm doing very well this this fine evening here at Road Atlanta. James, what a track to race at. Of course, we know not only with these MX5, but just with every car, this track is a complete roller coaster of track combinations. You have, of course, the first sector with the S's downhill, a blind left-hander uphill, of course, the second corner, I believe it is.
Yep.
So yeah, just a lot of variations on this track, and I'm excited to see what these drivers can make of it in this MX5.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. Good evening, Phil. Good evening, Dan Ayres. Good evening, Daniel Nagel. Craig Jones, welcome in as well. I hope everybody is well. Poppy Longland. Hi, Craigie. Hello, Pop Tart. I guess we'll leave them two to get a room. But thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, Dan, tell us, what was the story of last week?
Well, the story of last week, of course, at Zandvoort, my home track. I didn't have to go far, of course, to travel to the track. So, yeah, good for a global emission, I would say. But, yeah, of course, the qualifying result there was Pete Newman, who took pole position ahead of the man who returned that evening, Cesar Rizzo, and Daniel Hunt, of course, a man who we know very well in P3. Pete Newman won in race 1, so we converted that pole position into a race win. Steve Heffert in P2 and Jamie Ayres in P3. Race 2, though, was the race of Cesar Rizzo, of course, on his comeback, winning his second race after his comeback. Elise Main in second and Daniel Hunt in P3. Elise Main would get her time later, though, but that's in race 4. Before that came, of course, race 3. Steve Heffert won that one ahead of Pete Newman in P2. Ralph Cullinan in P3, and then, of course, it was the race of Elise Main. She won race 4 ahead of Craig Jones, of course, the AM driver on the overall podium, and Pete Van Gool in P3. And that Pete Van Gool, I think, leading very nicely into the championship, is actually leading it.
He is currently as well. We're going to have a look at the championship now. This is the Pro Championship. As it stands currently, Steve Heffert is in top for 3,047 points. Jamie Ayres in second, Pete Van Gool in third, Daniel Hunt fourth, Ralph Cullinan fifth, Pete Newman in sixth, Charles Kellerman in seventh, Elise Main eighth, and then we've got Carl Jacklett ninth and Andy Maxwell 10th. Now, the interesting thing about this is currently at the moment as well, this is obviously the third part of this season, okay? So in the AMS currently for this season, Craig Jones is leading the way on 2,348 by 1 point over Roger Morton. Third is Darrell Wright, fourth Dale Benison, fifth Steve Hansford, sixth Mick Barry, seventh Andy Littler, eighth Alan Toon, ninth Craig Crawford. Now overall, I think that's just going to be the interesting thing. This is how they stand overall. This is across the 3 seasons. Pete Van Gool is leading the way on 9,258 with Steve Heffert in second. Jamie Ayres in third. Pete Newman fourth. Ralph Cullinan fifth. Craig Jones sixth. Charles Kellerman seventh. Andy Maxwell eighth. Elise Main ninth. And Daniel Hunt rounding out the top 10. Now in the team championships currently, Momo are leading the way with Results Clothing iRacing team. Optical Green in third, Optical Red in fourth. Work Guard by Result stayed where they are this week in fifth. Safeguard by Result in sixth. DOF Reality in seventh, and Pure Sims in eighth, and Optical Blue in ninth. Now, overall, across the 3 seasons, Team Momo are running away with it at the moment with 30,506 points, with Optical Green about 5,000 points behind them currently. Results Clothing iRacing team in third, Optical Red in fourth, Work Guard by Result in fifth, Pure Sims Esports sixth, Optical Blue seventh, Safeguard by Result in eighth, DOF Reality in ninth. So a lot of points to go through there, Dan, really, but the main one, I suppose, is this one for this season, where kind of Pete Van Gaal is leading the way currently at the moment. Steve Hefford is leading the way currently at the moment, with Jamie Ayres in second and Pete Van Gaal in third.
Well, James, this is about the same points gap that the man in third in this championship has in the overall standings. Pete Van Gaal, of course, first there. My question to you is, could he win it this evening?
Probably. Well...
It's the second to last round.
Yeah, but it does depend on how he gets on. I think that's going to be the interesting thing, how he gets on across the 4 races, because at the moment Steve Hefford's still within that target range that can take the points away from him. So I think at the end of the day, there's still a lot to play for, and I think Steve Hefford can still put a challenge in, and I think that's going to be the interesting thing. I don't think this is going to be completely done until the last round. I know Steve Hefford may be missing the first race, but he should be here for race 2. I think with him, that's a message I got earlier on. And I believe that will be the case unless there is a short miracle where Steve Hefford can make it on track. But I believe currently he may be missing the first race. So there we go. Colin Brock, subs up to you as well, sir. I hope you're well, having a fabulous evening. Thank you again for joining us. Yeah, much love for jumping in. So I think the championship is still going to be open, Dan, right away until next week. And I think that's going to be one of the things we got to look out for, is basically where they are next week, I think, before we start, and see if we can calculate the points. Now, there's a lot involved with their point scheme. In fact, there is a hell of a lot involved with their point scheme. So we will try and keep an up-to-date run-through of what the situation is, Dan, but I think there's a lot involved, and we do generally wait for the official result as well. So we've got round 12 from Knock Hill next week coming up as well, so make sure you tune in for that one, because it is going to be absolutely incredible. Right, 2:15 on the clock, Dan. We're coming into Road Atlanta. You know, we're here with Elise Main. Tough circuit, this one. You know, turn 5 is the one that I'm expecting the most amount of deaths at, I think, with this circuit tonight. And down into the hairpin, well, there you go, turn 3 can also prove difficult, as it has done for Elise Main there. But this coming down the hill through the S's isn't too much of a hardship, as long as they're not trying to run side by side. But this turn here, Dan, this is the one that could cause most of the problems, as we can see right there.
Well, like I said, it's it's an interesting track, this one. It has a lot of different characteristics. It has slow speed, it has high speed. Of course, a tricky turn 5, like we said. It's it's a really, really difficult track, just in general.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the thing for these guys. They've got to go up through 1 and 2 quite sensibly to make it into 3, okay, because they've got the right-hander, which is this one here where PVG is now, and then dropping down through the S's. Now, the S's shouldn't be too much of a problem, but it's when you get to the end of the S's, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this corner that is coming up to now. He has one right-hander to go, so you see trees. That's all we see. This left-hander here. If you go too wide on the gravel there, well, James, you're basically done, as I think one car has found out there. You can either jump to the outside, go too wide, touch the gravel, hit the wall on the right-hand side. What you can also do is lose the rear end, especially James, on this first lap, maybe the second lap as well, with this new tire model where where the tires are colder for a longer time and it's way trickier on the starting laps. That turn 5 on the bottom of the hill is going to prove very difficult, especially losing the rear end on exit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is going to be the case. I think, they've got to be careful overall. I think these drivers have got to be really sensible and really try and make sure they can make it through. And I think that's going to be the challenging part for them. I think it's going to be really making through turn 5, consistently. Because as we can see, it does go wrong. We are going into qualifying. We've got 15 minutes of qualifying now. Then we will do race 1 and race 2. And then we will go into race 3. We will change sessions and go into race 3 and race 4. So, yeah, stay tuned because we've got 4 epic 15-minute races of pure, unadulterated, mad MX5 racing that can prove unbelievably close. I think, Dan, is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, and especially in race 2, of course, in this server, we have a reversed top 10. So, like always, the reversed grid races is the one I am looking most forward to, because usually race 1 is, well, let's say you have qualifying, the quickest drivers are at the front, and usually they tend to open up that gap. And if you have a reverse grid race, of course, the guys that are, let's say, half a second, 3/10 off the pace in qualifying and in race 1 are at the front. So the guys that are quicker have to work their way through, and that usually creates a lot of interesting fights and just a lot of fights throughout those 15 minutes.
Yeah, as we see the Momo guys lining up there, I love the fact that PVG pulled over, allowed Daniel Hunt to take the lead, and then Pete Newman slotted in, and then PVG went again, because the toe here, I think, down that long back straight is the one that's going to affect their times, and that's the thing with this circuit, is that long back straight does make it, can affect the times considerably, because that draft is quite strong.
Well, let's say especially down the long back straight, like you said, it's going to be really interesting, especially with the draft this strong. In qualifying, you do not really have a lot of dirty air from these cars, and I think it's just, I've seen a couple of races of this in real life as well. I've been to a couple in the MX5 series, especially at Zandvoort, and well, slipstream is a big part even in these MX5s, and it's, I think, one of the series most impacted by slipstream, because of course you do not have that dirty air coming off the car. So if you lose that toe, you're immediately going to be down a couple of tenths a lap. So usually in a race as well, you want to keep in that toe, and especially in qualifying, it's going to be vital to stay within that 1, maybe 1.2 seconds maximum to try and get a little bit of toe to get the maximum lap time out of the car.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the major thing here for these drivers, is trying to maximize where they've come out on track and really try and pull in the difference. And they've got to try and stay close with each other going down that long draft straight. Otherwise, they're going to be completely missing out, I think. And from that point of view, that's never really going to be good for them. So, yeah, this one could throw up a lot of spiciness, and it's going to be tough for these guys. I think this is going to be the way it starts. Now, Jamie is on pole with 1:36.242. I'm expecting that time to come down, Dan. I'm not really expecting it to increase, I think, would be the word I'll be looking for. Yeah,
well, of course, you saw that Pete Van Gool with a big snap now at turn 3 at the top of the hill. Had that slipstream from Daan Hunt. And Jamie Ayres, of course, had the slipstream from PVG, who's now moving over. Ooh, this could be quite close, though. This is not the line you want to be taking through there, Pete Van Gool. He's going to have a massive slowdown. He's going to get out of the way of his teammate and of Pete Newman. There we go. Slots in back or behind Pete Newman and is going to continue his way. But yeah, like you said, that slipstream already taken in effect. Dan Hunt losing about, well, what is it, exactly 4/10 to Jamies, who had that tow.
Yeah, and it's we can't kind of emphasize enough how much this tow is going to play an effect, can we really? Because that long back straight, you know, is probably longer than the town I live in. You know what I mean? You go through, you know, you go through one end and come out the other. So you know, it's going to be challenging for these guys, and I think they know and we know how important that draft is, and I think they're going to be well on their way to trying to stay with the person in front, because I think that's going to be the most important thing for them, is staying in with the person in front and making sure that, you know, they do survive and they do get through and they all kick off cleanly, to be honest, because otherwise it's race over. You don't really want race over turn one. You kind of want it a little bit further down, a little bit more, don't you? Really, you want to at least get to turn 5 before it can go completely wrong.
Well, if there's one turn where I can see it going wrong here this evening at the start, it's definitely that turn 5. We've pointed it out a couple of times now, just a really tricky corner to get right time after time. It's especially I here during, or me, myself and I, got that corner wrong 20 million times during the Petit Le Mans in the LMP2. So, and it's no different here in these MX5. Of course, we have Puck in chat, supporting his brother, of course, on his way to the title. It could be done here this evening, but it's going to be difficult though for PVG. At the moment, qualifying in P3, looking to probably gain a couple more positions, maybe get that pole position and get his championship hunt off to a good start.
Yeah, I'd like to give a big shout out right now to Steve Efford, who's made quali. He wasn't entirely sure if he was going to make it. There was something popped up for him, but he has made qualifying, so it's great to see Steve Efford there, currently in 7th place. Who do you think, guys? Let's see here in chat, who you think will take the victory this evening? Who do you think is going to take the victory this evening in race 1? Race 1 winner. Dan, who do you think we should put in the pole this evening?
Well, definitely Pete Van Gool. He seems quick here. Daniel Hunt, always. He's always there. And Pete Newman as well. We have 4 choices, right?
Yeah, 4 choices.
Well, put Elise Main in because it's our home track.
Okay. Elise Main is going in there for Dan.
She, of course, in this, well, what is it, 12 race calendar, had a couple of, well, home races, a lot of races in America. Of course, Virginia Raceway is one, Mid-Ohio was one, Sonoma, Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca was one. I think Phillip Island was one as well. No, Phillip Island is in Australia, right? Yeah.
We had,
so 5 races in America, I think we had.
Yeah, you got, so we had Sandown.
That's one.
New Hampshire. Laguna Seca. VIR. Virginia International. Mid-Ohio.
Yeah. So that's 5.
Sonoma.
6. And then today, 7.
7. So,
well,
there we go.
7 races in America. So, well, we know that America is big, so she probably still had to travel quite a long way to get there. But, yeah, well, of course, she had a lot of home races. But I think of all those tracks, James, in America, I think this is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I love this track. I love this track in any car combo. It's up with my favourite of Interlagos. I think this circuit is so fast flowing, so easily can get wrong. And in an MX5, it's going to be absolutely incredible. And I think, you know, if this is in the advance tomorrow when I go on there at Road Atlanta, I'll be definitely having a bash at this because it's, yeah, I love this track. Not great at it, mind you, but that's a different story altogether, I think, Dan, isn't it, really?
Well, I think, James, for both you and I, that's not only a case on this track. Let's just say we're mediocre everywhere. We're not quick, we're not slow. We're just mediocre. We're just normal drivers. We're not aliens, and we're also not slow.
No, but I will like to add this week, Dan. I've been very quick at Tsukuba in the MX5, right? My problem is this Scuba is a D license race. And it didn't always go so well for me, and not always due to my own fault. Should we say?
That's the risk of the D races.
Yeah, but I love Tsukuba, and the problem is I was going around in late 102s. It was putting me up near the front of the grid, and I was getting even more excited. And then I'd get away, and then somebody into turn 1 decides it was going to be a good idea to come in, you know, come and try and overtake me and smack me. And then I had down into the hairpin, somebody cutting right in front of me in the braking zone, and oh, it was just, yeah, it wasn't a great 2 races, I got to be honest. My speed didn't match my IR gain or my SR gain, let's just put it that way.
Well, James, let's just say you can always fall back on the fact that you're in the top 5 sim commentators of the world. Of course, guys, don't forget to vote on James in the VCO Sim Awards. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, we were talking about that off broadcast as well, Dan, weren't we?
Yeah, so what were you nominated again for?
I can't remember. Apparently it's quite an important award scheme within the sim racing world, believe it or not. You know, there's some big names in there. But the link is in chat, guys, if you do fancy having a vote for me in the VCO Simmies. They do close on the 28th of November. The winners are announced on Boxing Day Live. So the video link will go out on the JPB Twitter when I have it. And I know for one, I'm sitting down watching it, obviously. You know, my family's going to be here. We're having a little bit of an awards party. You know, why not? Might as well live it up. Yeah, so it should be fun. Look, it should be fun. But we've got Pete Newman on pole currently on the first man in the 135, 829. Pete Van Gaal in second there. However, Pete Newman did just pull out in front of Steve Efford, and Steve did have to take evasive action.
Well, James, let's just say we've, of course, put 4 people in our votes. 3 of those people are in the top 3. The only one odd out there, of course, is Elise May. Elise May, she is in P6. Probably looking to jump up a couple of positions, but yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job there.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Judging by maybe the end of qualifying results. Still 3 minutes to go, though, so I might be talking before it ends, and that's never a good thing. I know that, but if it changes, I already apologize, so don't come after me after it.
Now, Daniel has made quite an interesting point in chat, right? He's put, I prefer the short version of this circuit. Now, anybody that hasn't done, as we see a big off there, unfortunately, Dan, that was young Elise Main sticking it off into the wall. So that's never good. Now, the short version of this track is quite an interesting one here, and I just want to try and get the track map up because it's having a little bit of a mad mental breakdown. Now, the short track version. Okay, so we are going along the long back straight with Craig Jones. We'll jump on board with Charles Kellerman. Now, the short track version comes all the way down through the S's like normal. So we come down here, we do a left, and then we go do a right, and then we go through the S's. Now the track diverts off to the right hand side, and that's where the short track version joins the back straight. The track times are about 58 seconds, if that. And that, I've got to be honest, was an absolutely chaotic race when I was in it last time. Got to be honest.
Well, I commentated on it, I think, when you were in it
Yes.
the last time. And, well, I enjoyed it. The only thing that you don't have is, of course, that long back straight. Of course, it's not, and I wanted to point this out because you said it, but it's not the well-done Baku.
There's the join there.
Back straight.
Yeah, there's the join there. So
Oh,
halfway down, just before the right-hander, which they class as turn 9. Yeah, just there. That's where you come back on the short track. And you carry on going back round turn into turn 10 and 10A. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, the short track version is brilliant, but can even be more chaotic than the full version, to be honest.
Well, James, in the vote, it's quite divided between Pete Van Gaal and Daniel Hunt, but Pete Newman, the man who's on top of it as always, doesn't get any votes. Neither does Elise Main. So, seems like the chat has 2, big favorites here for this race.
Well, let's see how it goes then, and see how these get on, and whether or not we picked it correctly, chat, or whether or not we got it completely wrong as we go into the last 34 seconds. So, who are you going to have for your winner in race 1?
I voted Pete Van Gool.
Okay, well, I'm going Steve Hefford, but I can't vote because obviously I'm the admin on the chat and it won't let me. How rude. So I'm going to go Steve Hefford because Hefford's he's at the top. He wants to get it wrapped up. There's uncertainty about whether or not he's going to be here next week. So I think he's going to want to get it wrapped up. I'll go with Steve Hefford. He's not even on the list, is he?
No, he's not on the list. We didn't
put him on there, but I'm going to go Steve Hefford. Right, Dan, the grid is up. Are you feeling speedy?
No, I'm not feeling speedy. I'm actually going to go through them a little more slowly. Pete Newman in P1, P2 for Daan, Pete Van Gool in P3, Steve Hefford P4, Jamie Ayres P5, Elise Main P6, 7, the first of the AM class drivers, Greg Jones, Carl Hardy P8, P9, Charles Kellyman P10, Carl Jacqueline. P11 for Ralph Cullinan and Mick Barry, the second of the AM drivers. In P13 we have Daryl Wright, third of the AM drivers, Dale Bennison P14. P15 for Roger Morton, Andy Littler in P16. 17 Steve Hansford and 18th Sir Alan Toon.
And to answer your question, Craig, Ralph Cullinan is down in 11th place. Now we know there is some slight competition going on.
it's always the same with that great person.
In the results.
Always giving Ralph Cullinan back about his position.
Yeah. You know when he sits back and says, "Oh, look at the only pro, and he's lower than the AM." You know what I mean, and all this. So poor old Ralph Cullinan there. Love gets some grief off Craig Jones, but everybody is on track. Here we go. Race 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The lights are out and away we go. And it's currently Pete Newman leading the way into turn 1. Further back from that, Steve Hefford got a bit of a slow start. It's been overtaken by Jamie Ayres. Currently on the inside of 1. Elise Main is trying to run around the outside. You can see her there in the black and white car as these guys go up. Pete Van Gool is on the grass. He's going to lose a couple of places. Down all the way now into currently in 6th place is PVG. But Pete Newman and Daan Hunt running side by side through the S's they go. And currently at the moment is Pete Newman leading us away there, Dan. Everybody through cleanly currently at the moment.
Everybody through cleanly at the moment. We're not through turn 5 yet. This is where it's going to be tricky, especially in these first couple of laps. Pete Newman, Daan, Jamie Ayres, and Steve Hefford get through it cleanly. Behind that, though, it seems like no one is going off at the moment. Everyone got through there cleanly. And there is a bit of a... Well, the field is quite divided between the pros and the AMs at the moment. The only one out, of course, Greg Jones in P6.
Oh, Mick Barry and Ralph Cullinan nearly haven't come into contact there. I tell you what. Oh, there goes Carl Jacqueline. Oh, Carl Jacqueline has gone round, but there is Craig Jones in P6. Being chased down by Charles Kellerman, who's trying to chase down on the back end of Pete Van Gool. Hunt and Newman here having this absolutely epic scrap as they go down, dropping us into 10A. Believe it or not, there is an A and a B, and this is due to the wonderful world of the motorcycling course. And Hunt is going to try and run around the outside. Newman's going to send it in. They're going to be too wide going round B. Under the bridge for turn 11 they go. There we go, dropping down now into the hill. Jamie Ayres is going to try and get involved as well here. Dan and Steve Evans on the back as well.
Well, Danny Hunt is the one who's at the moment leading this race. Of course, he won the votes as well. We've now started race 1. But around the outside, he's going to have to run it. They're 3 wide into 1. That's not going to go well. They're both around. And that's a big crash. Jamie Ayres, Danny Hunt, Pete Van Gool, and I think
Charles Kellerman, Elise
Charles
Main.
Kellerman involved in that.
Yeah, Elise Main.
All of them out.
Yeah, Hunt. Everybody there. That was a huge accident there. We'll have a look back at that on board the JPB chopper, who's flying around in American Forest currently at this moment in time. As we can see here, there they are, 3 wide up front. That's where it all started. There's Jamie Ayres. Here's everybody else. Here comes Charles Kellerman. There is Elise Main. Craig Jones wiggled his way through. So did PVG, Ralph Cullinan, Carl Hardy, Mick Barry, Darrell Wright. But that was a massive, massive one. And that's taken out Jamie Ayres, Daniel Hunt, Andy Littler, Charles Kellerman. Pete Newman is still running, but he's dropped down the order. But Dan, look at the man in front. My boy, Steve Hefford.
Being chased down by my boy, Pete Van Gool. Well, go on, Pete, go on. But yeah, of course, also from the Netherlands. So I do also, very sneaky also, support my guy in P2, Pete Van Gool, of course, also being Dutch. But yeah, of course, 3.1 is the gap at the moment, being chased down by Craig Jones, the AM driver, of course, got a podium last time out in race 4. Also finished second there, so if you can get Pete Van Gool, he will be second twice in a row here.
Yeah, he will. There's Craig Jones. Here he goes. What is he going to try and do? He's got to try and get on the back of PVG at the moment. And as you see on the left-hand side, Hunt, Ayres, Kellerman and Littler are all in the pits. So unfortunately for them, they did not make it through that initial collision. Elise Main did, just as she's chasing down Carl Hardy and Mick Barry, but Steve Hefford is currently running away with it. Newman's trying to battle his way back through the field now. That's Daniel Benison is gone round currently at the moment, and now chasing down Darrell Wright, and here comes the ever-charging Carl Jacklett, who's also trying to make his way back through the field, Dan, after his initial accident as well.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say too much here, James, but look at the man in fourth, finally getting through a crash and not crashing with them. Finally some luck for him. Ralph Cullinan P4, of course. Last week he didn't have too bad of a race, of course, at Zandvoort. Ralph Cullinan finished third in race 3, so not too bad for him there. So he got his podium, ended his podium drought, but now he's back on his way again, chasing down Craig Jones and Pete Van Gool ahead of him. Mick Barry though being overtaken by Elise Main. Here's the rundown to that turn 10A and turn 10B. He's gonna try down the inside of Mick Barry. He's gonna try and hang it in there. Yes, he is. Carl Hardy overtakes him on the inside for 10A. And B though, he can't run around the outside of Mick Barry. Beautifully defended there.
Yeah, absolutely. Carl Hardy coming in now, sitting in 7th place overall, chasing down Mick Barry. Mick has had a victory, and he did it at Interlagos a few seasons ago. I'm going to keep harping on about that because that was an absolutely stellar victory from him. As you can see there, the leaders in the Pro-Am are on your left-hand side currently at the moment, but Mick is defending stoutly at the moment from Carl Hardy, but now Pete Van Gool is trying to break away from Craig Jones. Now, Craig did say he's got pace on this track, expecting big things going up to the sharp end, and that's where he currently is, I suppose, at the moment, is that he's at the sharp end. You know, he's sitting in 3rd place. So from his point of view, that's a massive, massive gain for him, because he's now well up there and well on his way. He's ahead of Morton as well, which is even more important for the AM Championship.
It is, but it's not only about this race, James. You have to look at the bigger picture. The reverse grid races, of course, that we have in race 2, 3 and 4. So that's also going to be a big and important factor. How do you get through those reverse grid races? We're now looking at Pete Newman making his way through the field. He's behind Darrell Wright at the moment, almost pushing him along the straight, pushing him to turn 10A. And I think, yeah, well, he will be pulling out right at the end of the straight.
You know what, I'm wondering on that one whether or not Pete Newman can't pull out, because he's just been overtaken by Carl Jacklett. I'm wondering if Newman has got, yeah, he's got damage from that initial incident. Jacklett going to try, no! Carl Jacklett makes it through, but very forcefully on Darrell Wright there, who's now under the clutches of Pete Newman. And this is Darrell Wright and Pete Newman. I am wondering whether or not Newman's got damage and he cannot make this, because he's not making a move on Darrell Wright, and that's what's making me wonder whether or not he is sitting on damage at this moment in time, because I think from his point of view he would have been a lot further up. Now, a bit forceful maybe on Darrell Wright, do you think, or do you think he deserved to have the room there, Carl?
Well, I think both. Of course, you have to give each other a little bit of space, but it was quite forceful there from Carl Jacklett. But in the end, he made his way through, and they both kept the car going, and I think that's the most important thing. Coming back to that Pete Newman, of course, damage story. Of course, he look at the back of that MX5. That's not looking too happy anymore. So yeah, I do think that Pete Newman has quite a lot of damage on that car.
Well, we'll have a look down this back straight and see how he gets on, because that's going to be the telling point whether or not he can hit a high gear or keep even remotely up with Darrell Wright. He's got to use Darrell Wright, I think, again to try and tow him along. I just don't know if Pete's got the pace to make it past him. You know, it seems to be taking him an age to get to fourth. There's fourth. Can he make it up in further? Darrell Wright's pulling away with the draft. That just about says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of damage there on Pete Newman's car. It was quite a hard hit on the rear end of the car, so I'm not surprised if he does have damage. Of course, with that hit, let's be honest, James, you should have damage in a simulator.
Absolutely. Roger Morton's now closing it all over Mick Barry again. VG has just got the fastest lap on 1:36.556. That gap's down to 1.87 with 6 minutes remaining currently at the moment. We will keep an eye on that one, but this battle is getting too spicy here in the middle to see how this comes out for the top 6 position between Mick Barry and Roger Morton. Elise Main is in 5th. Hefford in first, Gould, Pete Van Gool in second, Jones third, Cullinan fourth. So that's not a bad recovery for Ralph Cullinan currently at the moment.
Up 7 positions. Elise Main in 5th, so not bad for her there either. Of course, she's up 1 position. Mick Barry though, slowly making his way forward. Of course, to Elise Main, not losing too much, actually gaining, I think, last lap. So I think that's a fight brewing there as well. It depends if he can get to the back of Elise Main or car in time.
Yeah, absolutely. 5:33 on the clock now. We've got 1:37 lap time. We're going to have about 3, maybe 4 more laps if we're lucky. As we can see here now, these guys go racing down the back straight, over around the right-hander of turn 9 there. And then as we go down into 10A and 10B, the left-hander, right-hander with Mick Barry and Roger Morton. Side by side, they're going to be near enough coming out of this exit. Is Morton going to be looking in under 11? They go under the bridge. Are they going to be pushing round the right-hand corner? Full flat this turn 12. As they're now coming on to the start finish straight. This is going to be Morton's opportunity. He looks like he's carried a lot more speed. He's going to try and run him around the outside now as we jump on board to Chopper. Morton's going to go into turn 1. Is he going to do it? Yes, Daan, he has.
Here we go, up the inside he goes. Mick Barry down to P7. That has slowed down his run to Elise Main. Roger Morton now is going to be the one who has to do that. Mick Barry might be smart if he wants to tow up behind the back of Roger Morton and maybe try and get Elise Main together. But yeah, at the moment it's looking like the slipstream is taking a big effect here, because now the pace has switched to Mick Barry. Is going to go up the inside of 6. Can he keep it there? Yes, he can. He's going to try and push him out wide. Before they go into 7, he can't, so they're going to go side by side through there. This corner tighter than you expect on exit. There we go, but now he's going to be down a couple of kilometers an hour on this backside, of course, with slipstream for Roger Morton now. I think, James, it should be Roger Morton's to take here in 10A.
It should be by the time they get down into the entrance into 10A as they go round 9 side by side. Morton on the left currently with the purple roll bar. Barry on the left-hand side now with the pink. And it's Morton out in front. For safeguard by result. Roger Morton taking that position away. Now up front, Steve Hefford, Pete Van Gool has caught Steve Hefford. Steve's doing 1:37s out last time. Pete Van Gool did a 1:36.5, almost 1.3 seconds quicker than anyone else on track for Pete Van Gool over Steve Hefford. So is it a matter of not when he gets it, but if he gets it?
I think it's the other way around. James. I think it's not a matter of if he gets him, it's when does he get him. I have a feeling that Pete Van Gool is at the moment way quicker than Steve Hefford. Steve Hefford, of course, we know is not an easy one to get past though. If he gets a good exit out of 7, can make it very tough for Pete Van Gool, but Pete Van Gool with a very good exit out of 7, now through 8 and 9, running up into 10A. I think if you can tow up to the back of Steve Heffert, this is going to be Pete Van Gool passed into 10A.
Which side would you defend, the inside or the outside?
I would prefer the outside for 10A, because then you have the inside for 10B. But I think he's already passed before we get to the braking zone. They're still side by side. Oh, he's passed. There we go into 10A. Pete Van Gool up into first position. Steve Heffert down to second. And I think it's a matter of, well, trying to pull that gap now to Steve Heffert. Pete Van Gool down to the 36s, like we said. Steve Heffert, though, still running 37s. Now maybe Steve Heffert can, well, maybe learn some lines from Pete Van Gool. Try and follow his lines. Try and maybe, well, get up to the pace of Pete Van Gool.
All right, Pete Newman still having this mad scrap further down the order. This is the battle for ninth. Pete Newman currently holds it. Darrell Wright currently wants it. We'll have to see how he gets on there. Carl Jacklett is making a recovery through the field. He's now got Mick Barry for company. Steve Hansford here is trying to race down on Alan Toon. Good old Mr. Toon, Sir Alan Toon, at the back end of the field, currently down in 13th, 6th in the class at the moment. So we'll see how that one materialises as well. But PVG and Steve Heffert coming around turn 7 is going to be a vice versa swap, I think, here, Dan, if Steve can get a better exit. I don't even think he's going to need this better exit now as he goes around into 9.
I was muted.
Yes, you was muted. I was wondering where you'd gone. I thought you'd left me again. Steve Heffert going to try and look at taking the outside line, which is the inside for 9 now. Is he going to get it on the run down? It's 10. He's already in front. And that is Heffert now in the lead, coming on to the final lap of the race.
Don't be surprised, though, James, if this is a tactical move from Pete Van Gool. Now coming onto the last lap, he might want to be second down that long back straight. Of course, we saw 4 tenths, even 4 tenths back. From 4 tenths back, you can still retake the lead before you even get to the apex of 10A. So I think if Pete Van Gool just can hang on to the back of Steve Heffert here, he's going to have a good chance of trying to get past again before 10A.
I am surprised that Steve's not allowed him back through. I would, coming round 5 dropping down into 6, I would allow Van Gool through. And I would do it tactfully as well. Let him close up, lift off, pull to the side, let him have it, and then be behind it for 5, because I think that long straight is just going to play havoc. Let him go up the inside. I would.
Well, Steve Heffert did not do so. No. Pete Van Gool is well within that 4 tenths. 2.5 tenths is the gap coming onto the last lap. This is going to be the last time we get to 10A and 10B. Of course, Pete Van Gool did it 2 laps ago. Can he do it again? He's going to put out of the slipstream. He's alongside Steve Heffert. He's ahead now. And I think he's going to be ahead before we get to the braking zone. The question is, though, can Steve Heffert maybe outbrake him into 10A, into the left-handers? They are still alongside. Steve Heffert, though, keeps it. And Pete Van Gool has to slot in behind once again. Now a better exit out of 10B. Maybe down the run out of 11, down to 12. I think this is Steve Heffert's to lose now. Across the line, they're going to come in just a second. There we go, through 12. It's Steve Heffert, though, who takes it.
Yep, Steve Heffert gets it from Pete Van Gool. Unbelievable. Here is Elise Main trying to get onto the back of Ralph Cullinan. She's trying to pull out as well, and his Main gets it this time. Barry and Carl Jacklett, are they going to come across the line? It's going to be Jacklett there, gets the job done. Pete Newman, Darrell Wright. It's going to be Darrell Wright this time. And here comes Sir Alan Toon and Steve Hansford. What can Alan do here? See if he can get up the inside.
Down the run, out of 11 to 12. So Alan Toon, though, I think is going to have to stick behind Hansford. There we go, across the line. That's it. Number 65 of Sir Alan Toon behind Hansford. there we have it. A warm-up of 5 minutes now before we get to race 2. If race 1, James, is anything to go by, I think that race 2 is going to be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. There are the final results on your screen. Steve Pepels is your winner. Pete Van Gaal in second, Craig Jones third, Ralph Cullenham fourth, Elise Main in fifth, Carl Jacklett sixth, Mick Barry seventh, Carl Hardy eighth, Darrell Wright ninth, and Pete Newman is in 10th place. Roger Morton in 11th, Dale Benison 12th, Steve Hansen 13th, Alan Toome 14th, and then Ayres, Hunt, Kellerman and Littler all involved in that beginning crash there, unfortunately, between them all. So we had Daniel Hunt won the pole, but lost the race. I'm not quite sure why it's ended twice. So PVG, I suppose, would be the higher one of the four there, Dan. And we've got Steve Everett in the booth. We have only got time for a quick chat this time, because I know we've only got a 5-minute warm-up here as well, and I'm sure Steve's aware that the warm-up's gone to 5 minutes. Steve, welcome in. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not bad, you?
Yeah, not bad. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
All good?
So, but yeah, we're good. We're good.
Right, so victory in round one, race one. Not a bad start.
Yeah, with no practice, I only literally just got back in time for the first lap of quali, so yeah, I was quite lucky there. It was a bit scrappy that at the beginning. I didn't quite know what had happened, to be fair, with Pete and Dan. But it gave me a bit of room. Yeah, I was quite lucky, really.
Well, it looked like obviously you were on the inside, Pete was in the middle, and he kind of just got pinched, and then it kind of just all erupted behind him, to be honest. There was a Dan Hunt involved, as I say, Jamie Ayres, Charles Kellerman, Andy Littler, Elise Main got held up by it as well, so it was all a full-on bit of a bad one. Going into race 2, now we haven't got long, we've only got a few minutes of practice left because they've dropped the time down. What are we expecting from you? Because obviously you're reverse grid, you now go to 10th, mate. Is it just plodding back way, trying to make your way back through the field again?
Yeah, you can. There's loads of passing chances here, loads of draft. Draft isn't what it was, to be fair, in this car, but there's so much of it that it's hard not to use it, you know, so I guess just, yeah, keep out of trouble. Just need to finish every race.
Well, Steve, you go and get yourself ready for race 2. You've got about 2 minutes left there, buddy. And I'll look forward to trying having a catch up with a bit of a longer chat with you later on.
Yeah, see you guys.
Take care. There is Steve there, Dan as well. Just barely made it into the first lap of quali. Did have a prior engagement before he got hit, so you know, bit tough for him overall though. As I said, no practice, and this is one of them tracks that you really kind of need a little bit at least, do you know what I mean, to try and dial your car in. But he did well. I wasn't expecting him to hold it as long as he did.
Well, I think what is helping him is the fact that it's a track that a lot of people know very well. And I always find it helps when you know the layout of a track, but you've never driven there with a car. You can kind of, well, guess your braking points, start to extend them the more laps you do. And I think we saw that. He got quicker with every lap he did in the race as well. Once Pete Van Gaal was passed, I thought Pete Van Gaal was going to have an easy time putting away, because of course he was almost a second quicker on the lap before he overtook him. But in the end, Steve Heffert upped his pace when he got passed by Pete Van Gaal, and yeah, like I said, followed his lines and learned the track that way and became quicker. So in the end, Pete Van Gaal was behind Steve Heffert, so I think that's what counts.
Yeah, absolutely. I have put the poll up for race 2, partly because Pete Newman I've put in there as well, partly because he's starting on pole position. Technically, you should start on pole with the way the reverse grid lies. We've got about 27 seconds left. You've got about to the first few laps to get your votes in, guys. Who you feel is going to win this race 2? Well, Dan, who do you think?
Well, should I go off the 4 that are in the poll?
It's entirely
Can I
up
just pick anyone?
It's up to you. Go for it.
Well, then I'm going to say the boring guess, of course, Pete Newman. Starting from the front in a reverse grid. Of course, the people starting behind him shouldn't be as quick as he is. There should be a tenth or a couple of tenths in between that pace. So I think Pete Newman is gonna run away with this one.
Okay, there is the grid. Pete Newman is in first, Darrell Wright second, Carl Hardy third, Mick Barry fourth, Carl Jacklett fifth, Elise Main sixth, Ralph Cullinan seventh, Craig Jones eighth, Pete Van Gool ninth, Steve Hefford in 10th, Roger Morton in 11th. Then we've got Dale Benison, Steve Hansford 13th, Alan Toon 14th, and then the four of Ayres, Hunt, Kellerman and Littler, who were hoping to try and avoid their turn one incident like they had last time here, Dan, as well. I can't say who I'm going to go for, partly because I can't see past Pete Newman, and that's the scary thought, I think, just purely because of where he's starting, Dan.
Yeah, well, of course, in that third position, we know he's quick. Not only that, of course, his main rivals, usually Pete Van Gool, Hefford, Hunt, they're starting way down the order. So I think with a clear track ahead of him, and hopefully not too much fighting into turn one, he should have this one.
Here we go. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we're away. Jacklett there got a big dose of right hand on his wheel there and almost went shooting off into the grass. But this is Pete Newman's whole shot leading away with Carl Hardy in second, Mick Barry in third. Currently going to be trying to get up the inside of Mick Barry and Darrell Wright there as well. Darrell Wright's taking the grass. There's contact. Elise Main, Steve Hefford has been off as well. Alan Toon's off track. PVG's off track as well. We'll have a look back at that. But that looked a bad one to start with Carl Jacklett, Elise Main and Steve Hefford, Pete Van Gool and maybe possibly Charles Kellerman as well. Elise Main is in the pits. And we're going to try and have a look back where it started. It started about here with Carl Jacklett. Oh, on there, car number 42. Oh, Elise Main catches the curb, tags Jacklett, and around she goes. There's Hefford, there's PVG, all involved as well. And that was kind of Elise Main starting that off with running over the curb. And unfortunately taking people with her. Ralph Cullinan now is chasing down Carl Hardy, but he's being chased down by Craig Jones, currently down.
Craig Jones, of course, the one who, well, let's just say, always wants to be ahead of Ralph. He's going to go down the inside, trying to get another podium here. His third podium in a row, and for an AM driver overall, that would not be bad at all. But the inside is still for Ralph Cullinan. He slots in behind, though. Ralph Cullinan is going to give that one to Craig Jones. Maybe just wants to slot in behind, wants to get him back next lap, or just wants to tow up behind him because he knows that Craig Jones has that pace. Like James said before, Craig Jones told us that this is a race, but this is an evening where he expects big things for himself, of course, especially in that AM class. And he's looking good at the moment, of course. Got the pole position in the AM class. One in race one in the AM class, and is now in first in the AM class again, only after the first lap here. Yeah, you can see the gainers on the left-hand side there. Jamie Ayres up 9, Morton 6, Jones 5, Hunt 9. Benison's up 4, Littler's up 6, and below that you've got Barry, Van Gool, Jacklett and Main. So there's some big names in the pits early on here down in race 2, and I think that's going to literally end some people's hopes in the poll that has just ended, and it's 25% across the board. So everyone could win it. Apart from the fact that 2 of the drivers that were in that poll are out of the race. Yeah, and Daniel said in chat there, of course, 4 results clothing iRacing team drivers together. This could get expensive. Well, let's hope from your point of view, Dan, it doesn't, but you do have Craig Jones and Ralph Cullinan, and as we know, there's no love lost there as Carl Hardy does make way for the results clothing guys. As you can see, safeguard by result is there as well. So here we go now. Craig is being pushed by Ralph, and now we know this season this isn't the first time these guys have come to contact
but hopefully it may have been the last time, because they've been close before, haven't they?
Well, the good thing is, James, is the fact that if they do come together, they don't seem to make a big thing of it. So at the moment, it seems like they are running close together. No contact as of yet. Let's hope it's going to stay that way, because it's never good to see two teammates collide. And especially, I think, in the position they're in right now, P2 and 3 respectively, you don't want to crash each other out. And I think if he can't overtake Craig Jones, I think Ralph Cullinan will settle for a P3 here.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Sorry, Dan. He's just put in chat. I was talking to him. David in chat has said 4 results cards close together, not Dan. That's because obviously I'm sat in the booth beside you. So I did get that completely wrong. So sorry, David. My mistake. Let's have a look at how this one pans out now. Carl Hardy's lost a position to Daniel Hunt at the moment as well. But Newman's got a 6.3 second gap lead at the moment and is pulling out like an absolute rocket. But here goes Ralph. Up the inside of Craig. Is he going to make it through cleanly? Daniel Hunt's also come through as well. He's got past Roger Morton. So it's now all on Ralph Cullinan leading the results, clothing guys away. But Dan Hunt has looked like he's gotten a much better exit out of that chicane. Dan is now pushing down into turn 1.
Well, like I said, look at the front. 6.7 is the gap to Pete Newman. At the front of the field, Daniel Hunt now trying to go up the inside of Craig Jones. Craig Jones allows him to. He's not going to fight that one too hard, because of course he knows that, of course, Pete or Daniel Hunt is a very good driver. Behind that though, look at that, Jamie Ayres wants to try and, well, capitalize on the fact that Craig Jones was out of position for a second there. Craig Jones immediately losing a lot of time to Ralph Cullinan. So it might have been a better option for Craig Jones to let Ralph Cullinan by. Now I know that saying to Craig Jones, let Ralph Cullinan by, is never going to end well, because of course the rivalry between those two. But yeah, he's now going to try and go around the outside of Ralph Cullinan. Daniel Hunt is making light work of these two. Around the outside he goes. They're still side by side though. He's going to get pushed out wide by Ralph Cullinan. Onto the curb he goes, and now with the better exit, probably around the outside, is Daniel Hunt. Running into turn 10A, I think this is Dan Hunt's to lose.
Yeah, this could be Craig Jones as well, sending this free wide, my add, because he's got that toe from Mr. Hunt. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they are already free wide. And it's Craig Jones coming straight through the middle like a hot knife through butter. And here he goes now into 10A. Craig's in front, Ralph's there behind. Oh, contact with Morton and Ayres. Carl Hardy says thank you very much for that. Ralph Cullinan runs in, takes a position from Craig, who goes in deep into the chicane as he's jumping round 12 now. Well, expected, but not really, because Craig's kind of run and took a 2-for-1 there.
It's what we expect, I think, from Craig. But well, the thing is, he's now dropped down to 5th. Hunt is ahead of him. Hardy is ahead of him. Cullinan, though, keeping them both behind, although it could get tricky now for Cullinan. Down the run to 10A, maybe already into 6 and 7, because Danny Hunt is looking really quick here. He's very wide on the exit of 5, but I have a feeling that Dan Hunt is going to wait until they go into 6, 7, and coming out of 7 on the run down to 10A.
Yeah, I would do the same thing, to be fair. He's got Carl Hardy about 6 tenths back at the moment. The draft normally kicks him round about the 5.5 tenths, which is what he's going to do now. But Jamie Ayres is all over the back of Craig Jones with Roger Morton as well. The battle for the ARM Championship starts with them two and ends with them two, really, as these guys go down now. At least in chat, that was my bad. It was, unfortunately, you hit the curb. Throttled on the curb and then just come straight across, and then all of a sudden all chaos commenced after that one. So there we go, as we're coming down now. Is this going to be Dan Hunt trying to get round the outside of Ralph Cullinan? And it is. Craig Jones trying to hold back Jamie Ayres. He's got Carl Hardy. Look at this pack of 6, Dan. This is just unbelievable.
Like I said, this is the reverse grid races. This is what I was looking forward to, of course. These big packs of racing. This can, of course, go wrong, as we've seen a couple of times this season in these big packs. But, well, at the front of the field, Pete Newman, 10 seconds clear. Like I said, he's going to clear this field. with no one ahead of him. Around the outside now goes Ralph Cullinan, is trying to get that position back. We're 3 bags of 2 coming up to turn 3. This is absolutely amazing. Down the inside goes Daniel Hunt, defending his place there. Ralph Cullinan, though, gets back past Daniel Hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another battle back here with Steve Hefford and Steve Hansford and Kellerman. Here's, of course, Hefford's trying to make his way back through the field. He's currently sitting in 10th, but this is another battle that's getting spicy. But back up front, it's even closer. Cullinan now leading Daniel Hunt by literally 1/10 of a second as it's going now around turn 7, coming on that long back straight again for another chance here. Dan's got to try and make it. I think he's gone too early. I think if I was Ralph Cullinan, I'd slot him behind him and use him back again.
Well, this might also be Jamie Ayres wants to hunt down. Of course, he will now have slipstream of both of those guys. They both didn't have the best of exits. Hunt without any slipstream. It's going to be Ayres around the outside of Cullinan and maybe Hunt. They're 3 wide, running into 10A. It's Cullinan in the middle, Hunt on the inside, and Ayres on the outside. Who's going to make it in front? It's Ralph Cullinan who does that. Jamie Ayres, though, like I said, with a better run out of 10B. Now down 11, the inside for 12. This could be Ayres to lose here on the inside. They're going to be side by side through 12. A tricky one to run through side by side. You're going to understeer wide. And Dan Hunt is going to maybe make it 3 wide into turn 1. No, he's not. Cullinan slots in front. But the latest of the latest breakers is Jamie Ayres. And he now is the one leading this pack.
Yeah, Carl Hardy made a move past Dan Hunt as well. Craig Jones is going for it further back. Can he make it through? No, not this time around. He's now dropped into the clutches of Roger Morton. But it's now Jamie Ayres, Ralph Cullinan, and Carl Hardy has made some exceptional gains there as well. He's done an absolutely stellar job from his quite a poor start. He's now back up. He's one off his grid slot in third at the moment, is Carl Hardy, but he's trying to make trucks as well, and he's doing a good job about it here, but he has got Dan Hunt behind him, which is always never a great thing.
Well, Dan Hunt has dropped down 3 positions that last lap. Of course, like I said, Jamie Ayres, the run down to 10A. Daniel Hunt went too early, like you said. Of course, Cullinan didn't have a great exit, and it was Jamie Ayres who, in the end, took the advantage of that. But now it's Jamie Ayres in front, making the gap in the air, of course. And now it's Ralph Cullinan towing up the back of her. Dan Hunt behind that, towing up the back of Carl Hardy. They're both going to try and make a move. Cullinan around the outside, Hunt down the inside. Cullinan maybe makes that move, stick on Ayres. Ayres, though, fights back down the inside. Hunt has it on Carl Hardy. But Ayres, though, fights his way back past Ralph Cullinan.
Yeah, Cullinan's now got to look at trying to get back up onto the attachment of Jamie Ayres, because we have got Dan Hunt behind us currently at the moment. Jamie Ayres spins up dust. Hunt's going to be looking it down on the inside into turn 1 there. Hunt 007 running round at 32. Off Ralph Cullinan. Cullinan's running him round the outside now. Up we go up into turn 2. The little kink left, and then we're going to go right for 3. And it's still Cullinan holding on. I tell you what, Ralph is showing some stellar Irish spirit here, I tell you that much. He's got 3 wide and come out successful twice, and he's looking at probably going to try and do it again here, because I don't think this is the only time these guys are going to be 3 wide. I've got to be honest.
That was a big step for both of them, and now it's Daniel Hunt with the opportunity to sort of cut you off there, James. But around the outside now he runs him, and that's going to be Dan Hunt up into, well, 3rd position. But James, now this long run down the back straight is once again here with us.
The only thing he's got in his favour, he's got about half a second. But even then, Hunt's pulling in the draft from nearly 6 tenths back. You can see it on the left-hand side. It's dropping down faster than absolutely anything currently at the moment. And it's more than vitally possible that it could come all the way down. Look at Cullinan's gap as well. Cullinan's wishing Hunt hasn't picked up the gap from Ayres, but unfortunately he is. And it's going to be a stalemate currently as we go down into 10A. We're on board with Cullinan. Hunt's on our left. We're going to run wide. We're going to make it through there. And Ralph Cullinan comes out the other side in 2nd place, but Craig Jones is trying to attack Carl Hardy as well. 3 results, guys, up into the top 6 at the moment, and what an absolutely stellar job from them.
Second to last lap, this is Cullinan maybe up the inside of Jamie Ayres, dispossesses himself a little bit. Now maybe Daniel Hunt will capitalize on that. Down the run to 2. 3 will be the inside. 4 Cullinan, they're going to run it 2 wide up the hill through that tricky turn 3. And Daniel Hunt in the end though has to settle for 4th. Cullinan once again ahead of Hunt. Hunt must be frustrated now with Ralph Cullinan. How many times has Hunt tried to get past this Irishman, but just can't make his way past?
No, absolutely not. Ralph is putting up some shrewd defences currently at the moment, I tell you that much. He's chucking out everything. He's got potatoes in the back. He's lobbing at Daniel Hunt. He's chopping out as much as possible out of that car to try and slow Hunt down. And at the moment, he is not being very successful, because here comes Hunt. Here comes Hardy. Here comes Jones. And we're going to have 1 lap remaining here as we go along now. Daniel Hunt side by side with Ralph Cullinan now coming down through turn 9. Is he going to make this through? Is the Irishman going to hold on once again? Going down into 10A. It looks like Hunt may have got it this time, Dan. Cullinan's not giving up. He's running round the outside. Jamie has got a slow exit. And this is going to be an unbelievable final lap here, Dan.
Like last race, this time not for the lead though, because the lead is in Pete Newman's hands, and if he doesn't do anything crazy, this win will be his. Down the inside goes Daniel Hunt off Jamie Ayres. We're on the last lap now into turn 1. Daniel Hunt though with a little bit of a slower exit. They're still side by side. Now he slots back in behind Jamie Ayres. But look who's behind him though. Ralph Cullinan trying to make that run count once again on Daniel Hunt. He's going to try and stick behind him for that run down to 10-8, the run we've talked so much about this evening. That's really the place where it's going to happen. He's a little bit wide, a little bit of a snap.
Oh, he's gone.
He does keep it pointing in a straight line though, but he has lost both positions to both Jones and Hardy. And I think now Ralph Cullinan has come to the end of which will be a fight with Daniel Hunt. He's now dropped way too far back. But it's not over yet though. He could still regain a position on Jones and Carl Hardy.
Yeah, absolutely. The last rundown now. We'll keep an eye on Pete Newman currently at the moment, but Daniel Hunt is going to be running down alongside Jamie Ayres. Hunt's gone on the outside. This is the battle for second place. Who's going to get us top to the highest step on the podium? Newman's going to come round and take the victory. Here comes Pete Newman. We've got to have a look at him across the line, guys. There he goes into first place. Daniel Hunt and Jamie Ayres, they've gone through 10A and 10B. Hunt's on the right hand side. It's going to be a sprint down onto the line once again here in Road Atlanta with Daniel Hunt and Jamie Ayres. Who's going to get this as they go across the line? It's Ayres, I think. It's Ayres.
Yeah, it's Ayres.
It's Ayres, it's Jones, it's Cullinan, it's Hardy. Morton comes across the line there as well. Steve Pepels behind that, Kellerman behind that, right after that as well. Hansford, Dale Benison, Mick Barry, and Andy Littler. Wow.
James, breathe for a second there, because wow, man, what a last lap we've seen once again. Sir Alan 2 coming across the line as well. PVG behind that though, now only coming through the run from turn 7 to 8 through 8 and 9, but 0.003 of a second in the end it was, James. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Unbelievable there. Jamie Ayres just gets it. Do you know, on the graphic on the screen it says 0.003. On my timing software it says 0.00. So it's like, nope, don't like it. I'm not going to put the 3 on the end. It's decided it's had enough. As we watch PVG come across the line, but I think you've got to admit, guys, that was an absolute stellar race here from these guys as we go into now the end of this race. And here are the results. Pete Newman is your victor. Jamie Ayres comes across the line in second. Daniel Hunt, look at that, in third there. Craig Jones fourth. Ralph Cullinan fifth. Carl Hardy sixth. Roger Morton seventh. And then we've got Steve Hefford in 8th, Charles Kellerman 9th, Darryl Wright 10th, Steve Hansford 11th, Dale Bedison in 12th, Mick Barry 13th, Candy Littler 14th, Alan Toon 15th, Pete Van Gaal is 16th with Carl Jacklett and Elise Main not completing the race. Right, guys, we are going to... What a fantastic race that was. Well done, guys. Thanks. I'm guessing that was probably more at the drivers, David, but never mind. We'll take the credit. It's fine. Right, guys, we have got to jump on to a short break now before we look at changing over sessions into race 3. So, as always, we'll see you after the break. Okay, guys, we are back for the third race of the evening. I am James Parfitt, still joined in the booth by Daan Pepels, and I think you have to admit that was an absolute incredible race 2. What do we think we're in for race 3, Daan?
Well, I have a feeling more of the same, like in race 2, of course. This race, well, how do we say it? A random grid order?
Yeah, random, completely.
So you could have a fast driver at the front. You could have someone like Sir Alan Toon at the front. So you could have all. It depends what the grid does. But I think we're up for another good race. Of course, we know that Greg Jones is one to count for a podium as well today. Of course, he's an AM, but of course, he's really, really quick on this track. As we know, of course, he said it himself. He's expecting quite a lot of this race. Of course, looking forward to race 4 as well. It hasn't quite, in terms of chaotic things happening, kicked off yet. Last time that was the case in race 2. Race 3, maybe they want to kick off or to kick it off this time. Let's hope not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be in for another epic race here as we go into the last 48 seconds of practice here this evening. A poll is up. Let us know who you think is going to be the winner and see how you feel will get it this evening. You got Steve Everett, Pete Newman, Elise Main and Daniel Hunt. Now, this is where normally we see an Elise Main victory in race 3, don't we? Race 3, race 4. She's normally right up there at the front, and it's going to be an interesting one again, I think, from her, depending on where her grid position will be.
Well, she's looking racy this evening. She's definitely looking quick. And I think in every race she's looked quick, of course, but just hasn't been lucky yet. Of course, in race 1, not too bad. I think she finished 5th there in race 1 or 6th. In race 2, of course, we all know retired at the very start after turn 1, of course. She got on the curb at turn 1 and that's an interesting line. She got on the curb in turn 1 and yeah, just spun off, and that was the end for her, sadly.
Yeah, we'll wait for the grid to come up. Here is the grid. Carl Jacklett is in first, Carl Hardy second, Elise Main third, Ralph Cullinan fourth, Craig Jones fifth, Daniel Hunt sixth, Pete Van Gogh seventh, Jamie Ayres eighth, Steve Evans ninth, Pete Newman 10th, Roger Morton 11th, Mick Barry is there in 12th place, Kellerman 13th, Wright 14th, Hansford 15th, Benison 16th, Littler 17th, Alan Toon there as well. The lights are going to be coming on very, very shortly. I completely forgot they get on very quickly for race 3. Here we go. Carl Jacklett is going to be leading us away here this evening. There he goes, the lights are out and we are away at the moment. Carl Jacklett is leading the whole shot with Carl Hardy in second, Elise Main third, Ralph Cullinan fourth, Craig Jones is there with fifth and Daniel Hunt right beside him at the moment. Hunt's going to try and run him around the outside. Is he into turn 1? Thinks better of it, and then we got the three Momo boys of PVG, Steve Everett and Jamie Ayres as they go running up into 2 now, coming round into 3. Oh, there goes Ralph Cullinan. There goes the Irishman. Around he goes, and unfortunately he drops all the way back down the order. Now, obviously, was a good start up to that point, Dan.
Yeah, and I still think it is. It was Ralph Cullinan who, on his own, kind of misjudged how early he could get on the low pedal, of course, after turn 3. But Craig Jones, though, his teammate, still up in P4 once again there. He's main in P3. Carl Jacklett, her teammate, up in the lead. So, that's a spinner and Elise Main round. Craig Jones as well.
Oh, that was PBG was in there as well. Craig Jones, Elise Main, Carl Hardy, and Pete Van Gogh got tied up with that one. And Pete, sorry,
is that on me?
No,
because I said they were in a respectable position before, just 10 seconds before that.
No, maybe not. Don't admit to it, Dan. Don't admit to it. We'll be fine. Here comes Hefford, Hunt, and Newman. Carl Jacklett still out in front currently at the moment. Further back, Mick Barry there as well, with Darrell right behind him. Pete Van Gogh behind that. Pete is still going. despite being caught up there. Elise Main is in the pits. Craig Jones is in the pits. Not the greatest free races for Main currently.
No, not at all. Just unlucky in 2 of them. And, well, race 1 wasn't too bad, but 3 wide once again in the turn 1. This is Jamie Ayres in P12, trying to make his way past now. He's in 11th already. He's got past Steve Hansford. So, Dale Bennison the next one in front of her. Hefford, though, now the one in 2nd. Hun in P3. And Carl Jacqueline still leading the way.
Yeah, Carl Jacqueline still out in front at the moment as well. But here is Daniel Hunt. He is chasing down Steve Hefford currently. There's action further back as well. But this man, PVG, as he's chasing down Darrell Wright and Mick Barry for this battle for 8th place at the moment. Pete Van Gogh has got to try and make his way back through. Currently at the moment, guess I deserve that gutted. We're so excited to send it with Carl, yeah. Absolutely. It was just a shame turn 7 there was not great, unfortunately. Carl Hardy and Alan Toon have been involved in a little bit of a fracas, and they are unfortunately dropping down the order now. But here comes Pete Van Gogh. He's going to be looking at sending it. Is he going to send it 3 wide on Darrell Wright? There's no room at the in there. And Mick Barry is trying to go up the inside of Darrell Wright. Last of the late breakers. That is Mick Barry through. And Mick is now up into 7th. Now further up, Carl Jacqueline has got the ever-looming Steve Hefford right behind him at the moment, Dan.
Steve Hefford is the one who's now going to try and make this move. Maybe Daniel Hunt, who can put up with that. No, he can't. Carl Jacqueline down the inside goes Hefford. And that's Jacqueline down to P2. Now Hunt is going to try and make his way past Jacqueline. Jacqueline at the moment here, James, is going to be eaten up, I think, after being in the lead for, well, what was it? I think a lap or 2.
Yeah, a lap and a half, I think it's going to be on that one. Don't forget, this is based on laps, this one, and not on the clock, so we will have 10 laps here. Daniel Hunt is nestled in behind Carl Jacqueline. I think it's a matter of time, as Daniel Hunt has shown his pace here this evening. And unfortunately, Carl Jacqueline has gone down again, but behind it he's got the ever-looming Pete Newman, so that's never good. For Roger Morton, he's got Charles Kellerman chasing him currently at the moment, so there we go. Not a great one.
Well, for Craig Jones, of course, this being an evening where he expected quite a lot of himself. Not looking too great here in P18, of course, out of the race, still in the pits. So yeah, after an evening where you expected to score a lot of points, this is of course not what you want.
No, Newman has just made that move on Jacqueline, and it is through further back. Darrell Wright, Mick Barry, PVG has just got nowhere to go. Ayres has turned around and said, well, let me have a crack, because he's going to be looking at trying to go up the inside. Now the outside of Pete Van Gogh, Dale Benison's going to get a run on PVG as well. If he's not careful, he's going to lose 2 positions here, and maybe even 3 with Steve Hansford right behind him. This is Pete Van Gogh down the order, 3 positions. He's going down faster than the 6 geese is delaying, I'll tell you that much, in the Christmas song. Currently at the moment, along with the partridge in a pear tree. And there goes Ralph Cullinan all at the same time, Dan.
Well, the thing here is, of course, they both, or they all want to keep it clean. Of course, after that, well, starting crash can be called, I think. But, well, Pete Van Gool now trying to make his way past. He might have some damage, what we saw with Pete Newman earlier. If you do have big damage here, James, you're quite a lot of k's an hour down in the straight, and you might not be able to get past.
Yeah, there we go. Darrell Wright is in first. Mick Barry there behind him. Darrell Wright, sorry, in 7th. Mick Barry behind that. Steve Hefford has now got Daniel Hunt looming currently at the moment as these guys go racing down. Now past the long straightaway through turn 9 we go. On board with Hefford. We're going to be expecting Daniel Hunt to be coming up beside us very shortly. You can hear him now. We look at the right-hand corner. There goes the DOF reality Daniel Hunt coming down into turn 10A. And we got 10A and 10B. Sorry, my mistake there as well. Commentators curse. No, not accepting responsibility, Craig, on that one. That was all your own. That was all your own doing. Are we done?
Yeah. Before that, I did say that they were in a good position. Maybe I will not say that next time. But yeah. Not a comment to this curse. I will not settle for it this time. I've already done it too many times. I've been too soft, I heard. And James said me I should be hard on you. So no, not a comment to this curse. But yeah. Oh, around again, Carl Jacklett. Does he have damage though? Did he hit a wall? That's the question. Let's hope he didn't. This is coming into the first corner, touching the grass on the outside. Ooh, manages to keep it in the Tokyo Drift and not anything, luckily. So I think got away with that one.
Yeah, not too great for the guys at the front of the grid, really. Carl Jacklett is all the way down in 12th. Carl Hardy is down in 13th. And of course, we've got Elise Main in YouTube chat. So that obviously proves whereabouts she is. He is. Yes, Dan, keep your mouth shut, says Craig Jones. He's giving you grief, Dan. He's giving you grief, bless him. Now look, Craig, he's not saying anything. Oi, it's not going to be boring, I'm here. We've got Dale Benison now under attack from Steve Hansford, Ralph Cullinan and PVG right behind him as well. I'm expecting Steve Hansford to come on the left-hand side very, very shortly. As we're going down now, Ralph Cullinan trying to make it free wide here as well. Is he going to go round? He is. Ralph is the sole remaining results clothing iRacing team there on track as Craig Jones is in the pits along with Mick Barry. And we can have a look back and see what happened to Mick very, very quickly here. This is with Jamie Ayres and Darrell Wright going down into turn 10. Oh, Mick. And that, unfortunately, is what happened to Mick Barry. Now back up the front of the field. Dan Hunt and Steve Hefford now still locked where they were currently with Pete Newman looming in the background here, Dan. Oh, this could be a tight one as we go lap 6 out of 10 here tonight.
Once again, a battle for the lead here these last couple of laps. But what a battle this is. Hefford, Hunt, Newman. This is the battle we were expecting, of course, in race 1, which we didn't get, of course, due to that crash. It was Hunt out, Newman out of that fight, and now these three are fighting it out, all three for the lead in this race. Of course, Daniel Hunt in the position to lose this. He's weaving. That worries 2 moves usually. He can't move anywhere now, so he can't move to the inside to defend. That worries 2 moves to the inside, to the outside again. Now it will be Steve Hefford down the inside. He will keep the outside if he can keep it there, though. He will have the inside for 10B. There he goes. And now the exit will be maybe for Steve Hefford around the outside. He's going to try and make it. He's going to get that run. But Daniel not going to settle for this one.
No, I was expecting Pete Newman there to get in the battle, go free wide. He's looking at coming down into turn 1. Where is Newman going to go? Hefford, Hunt, Newman now coming down into turn 1. They're going to be side by side nearly as they go round turn 1. Running up the hill into 2. How is this one going to materialise as they come through 3? It's still as they were. Hunt, Hefford, Newman there as well. Kellerman has just cleared Roger Morton. So Charles Kellerman is through there as well. Dale Benison has got PVG behind him. He's trying to make the move up into turn 1 as well. Chasing down Hansford as he goes round into now. That's PVG up into 10th place currently. But the battle at the front, look at that. You can barely see all 3 cars as they tuck in behind each other down.
Yeah, this is a battle, like I said. This is the battle we were expecting in race 1. We didn't get it. We're getting it now. And it's not disappointing in any way. Of course, Daniel Hunt, the one now at the front of the queue. He will now try and break the slipstream to Steve Hefford once again. Because, of course, that slipstream here down this back straight is so effective. Once again, 2 moves from Daniel Hunt. He will now have to stay down the inside. He can't move over to the inside again because he did his 2 moves that he's allowed to do. Pete Newman now might make it 3 wide into 10. He's not going to do so. Hefford up the inside. Pete Newman's going to try and hang it up the inside. Hefford will once again have the better exit, but he can't keep it there. Now he's boxed in between Newman and Hunt. And now it's going to be Newman maybe trying to make that pass on Steve Hefford. Can he do so? Yes, he can.
Yeah, there we go. That is Newman now past Effort. Is he going to try and get Hunt at the same time? They're going to be going 3 wide, near enough down into turn 1. Newman absolutely sends it up the inside, gets that car to hold, and now Newman is out in front there as well, currently with Daniel Hunt in second, Steve Hefford in third. Further back from that as well, we've got another battle here with Hansford and Dale Benesford, and the Benesford as they go round into turn 1 as well. That is Benison up now. Is he going to make it all the way through, or is Hansford going to try and come back into 3? No, Benison makes it through, and PVG is on his way. So there's another Darrell right here being chased down by Ralph Cullinan at the moment. The gap's down to half a second. But it's here where all the action is going to be over the last few laps. So there we go. Lisa Main, I'm just so excited of being voted for and leading the race winner. Well, I've ended it early at least for you, so you can win this evening.
You ended it early? I don't think anything was going to change.
Maybe. You don't know that?
I know that. but looking back on track, Daniel Hunt, now the one, of course, in third. Pete Newman, though, created a little bit of a gap, and that gap was enough to not be under attack. So the only thing that Pete Newman has to do now is do that 2 more times. But James, that's going to be very, very difficult now. They run down 11 into 12 and into turn 1. It might be Steve Hefford with a chance of getting up the inside. He's going to pull out of the slipstream. Going to try and chuck it down the inside of Pete Newman. He's there. Pete Newman is once again going to brake late. Steve Hefford is going to brake late. And that's Steve Hefford up into the lead.
Yeah, with Newman and Hunt now. Hunt's going to be trying to look at, almost looking at going up into 3. Didn't make it this time, as he's now running down through the S's. It's going to be turn 5, and then on to 6 and 7. And then that long straightaway where Daniel Hunt can finally challenge here as well. But these guys have been going at it absolutely hammer on tongue. And I'm hoping it doesn't go wrong, Dan, because all in all, it could be going severely wrong for these guys.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, they're all races. They all want to get that P1, and sometimes it can get a little bit too spicy, especially on the last lap. So let's hope they can keep it clean until the end of the race, of course. Daniel Hunt now the one, maybe with the run. Of course, Effort is now going to be the one who is under attack from both of these two. Doesn't move over like Daniel Hunt does, is now 3 wide. And like I said, Daniel Hunt with the best slipstream of the 3 coming through on the outside. He's ahead of both of them going into the braking zone. Pete Newman, though, breaks the latest. He's going to go deep into 10. There's contact between Hunt and Newman. Further contact on the exit of 10B. That has allowed Effort through once again. He's now going to try and get the inside of Pete Newman. Is he going to get back up into the lead? The answer is, at the moment, yes, he is crossing the line first to start the last lap. And Pete Newman back down to P2.
Yeah, this is going to be unbelievably spicy on the last lap here between Hefford, Hunt and Newman. If Hefford can keep up with that 9 tenths, that second gap he's got at the moment, you know, he might survive this, Dan, I'm not going to lie.
Well, that gap should be enough for him. Of course, now they're outside of the slipstream window from him to try and make that pass work. So it's going to be Danny Hunt who's going to be under attack from Pete Newman mainly here. But it looks like here, James, on the last lap, Steve Hefford has this one settled.
Yeah, here we go, round 6 and 7 now. The double right-hander here at Road Atlanta. And I think this is where it's going to be going off behind here with Dan Hunt and Pete Newman on this rundown. I think Hefford's got this locked up. It's going to be interesting to see further back as well, because Morton is having an epic scrap with Charles Kellerman. They're going to come into the view over the hill. You can see him in the background now, but it's going to be Dan Hunt trying to defend that outside line from Pete Newman. We know Newman sent it in deep on the last run round. Here we go. What's going to happen here? Is Newman going to do it again? No. Hunt's going to run him around the outside. He's going to try and get the inside now. Under 11 they go for the final time this evening. And it's going to be Steve Hefford winning the race here as we go across the line. Now what's going to happen further back is going to be Dan Hunt. Hunt's going to take it from Newman. He does. Roger Morton's going to hold on from Kellerman only just as these guys come across the line. Ralph Cullinan there goes over as well. PVG and Darrell Wright is going to be PVG this time around, is going to hold on. And Darrell Wright does not make it through. Dale Bennison there on board we go as he crosses over the line. Carl Jacklett behind him, Carl Hardy behind that, and Sir Alan Toon as Alan comes all the way down from turn 9. Well, another epic battle there, Dan.
I think this race is, or all three of the races are not disappointing. This is, of course, reminding me of earlier in the season when we had the race, I think, at Phillip Island. That was race 4 this season, where I think every race, it came down to the wire, of course, down to the thousandths of a second in the end. Every race, and in qualifying as well. So, yeah, getting a bit of deja vu, but, of course, I like it. I like the battles being this close, and I think everyone does.
Yeah, absolutely. There is the final results on the screen for you, Dan. Away you go. Take a breather.
Well then, Steve Hefford is the one in the end, of course. He had that gap of a second on the last lap coming down the back straight on the run down to turn 10A. And in the end, he took it, of course. Didn't have to look back because the gap was bigger than a second. Daniel Hunt in the end, Pete Newman on the line. That gap only, if my kick maths are correct, 700ths of a second. Roger Morton is the one who takes the victory in the AM class ahead of Charles Kellerman on the overall standings, who's in 5th. Jamie Ayres in 6th, behind that Ralph Cullinan in 7th, ahead of Pete Van Gool. Darrell Wright is the one who finishes 2nd in the AM class, ahead of Dale Bennison, who finishes 3rd in the AM class and 10th overall. Carl Jacklett in P11, ahead of Carl Hardy in P12. Sir Alan Toon 13th, ahead of Steve Hefford in 14th. Mick Barry 15th. 16th, Andy Littler. 17th, Craig Jones. And last but not least, sadly with another tough race for her and some bad luck in the first race, Elise Main.
Yeah, so we got Steve Hefford in the booth once again. 2 out of 3, Steve. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah, that one was a little bit better. Yeah, that was all right. Dan thought it was the last lap on the... Because it shows you the white flag quite early, I think, when you get to the chicane.
Mm.
You start seeing the flag. So he thought it was the last lap and lifted, which is why he wasn't up the arse on the last lap. So I was a bit lucky.
Yeah, but you did it. And you've needed these 2 victories. Going into race 4, you know, can you get a 3rd one, do you think?
Don't know. I'll give it a shot, but I need to finish it. I mean, I got tangled up in something in the other race, in race 2, that put me right down. Managed to scrape back, but it wasn't what I wanted kind of thing, you know, what I needed really.
No, I know.
A really good night this week. But to be fair, yeah, it's still decent.
Well, Meatloaf said 2 out of 3 ain't bad, mate.
Yeah, we'll see how this one goes. Just take it easy and it is what it is.
Come on, you got this, Steve. Well, good luck in race 4, buddy. We've got to look at changing sessions, so hopefully we'll catch you at the end of race 4. Right, so that was the voice of Steve Hefford. Me and Dan are going to jump onto a BRB while we change over sessions. Much love as always, and we'll see you after a short break. Okay, guys, we are back once again here for the fourth and final race this evening. I'm James Parfitt, and along with me is Daan People, still in the booth. And I think, to be fair, Dan, we've had 3 epic races, and I cannot see race 4 being any different.
As we know, James, race 4 is always a great spectacle, and I don't think it's going to be any different this time round. We've seen 3 very close races, both races with finishes that came down to the hundreds, if not thousands of a second, and I expect nothing else here in race 4.
Yeah, well, we've got PVG in chat. He said it's not really up to him what happens in race 4. I said, well, you're not driving. And he turned around and said, well, I am. I just need to stay out of trouble. But it keeps presenting itself to me. Is that correct, you think?
Well, he was caught up in something again, which he couldn't do anything about. In race 3, it was the same, I think, in race 1. The actual race where that didn't happen was, of course, in race 2. And, well... Or no, in race 2 that happened, and the only race where it didn't happen was in race 1, and he finished P2 there. So Pete has some pace here today. He's just been unlucky, I think.
Yeah, I think
I agree with him.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that have been unlucky. Carl Jacklet, Carl Hardy, Elise Main, Jamie Ayres was caught up as well. Kellerman's been caught up. There's been a lot of people this evening that seems to have been caught up in a few incidents. And I think that's one of the things where this track kind of lends itself to that. Not necessarily as in it's a death trap, but you can't go out full bore on lap 1, as we've seen. Turn 3. Don't make it through. Turn 5, don't make it through. 7, don't make it through. The 3 main flashpoints have really shown their head on the first lap this evening. Yeah,
well, hopefully they can do it in race 4 here. We, of course, don't know the grid order. It's once again completely random. The thing that does stay the same is, of course, this amazing track. But now, of course, we are at sunrise, I think.
Yes, the weather is 6:33 in the morning, 18 degrees air temperature, 18 degrees track temperature. So that should be quite interesting.
As always, I think this is standard for race 4, but as always, gonna be an interesting one.
Yes, it will be. I think that's something to look forward to here in race 4. We've got about a minute and a half left of this practice session. I don't know where my money would go on this one. I've got to be honest. I'm going to put a poll up, but I'm not entirely sure to, where it's going to go. Who would you put in the poll, Dan?
I would just put the championship top 4 in it this time round.
Okay, so we've got PVG, Hepburn, Ayres, and Newman. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Ayres.
Basically the boring choices. Because,
yeah, but
they win so many races.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So PVG, Hepburn, and Ayres, and Newman. There it is. At least it's got this one, says Phil. Well, it's all on you, Phil, if she doesn't. So there we go. Right. Not long left of practice. 15 seconds remaining. So there we go as we go into the last 15 minutes. Dan, shh.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to jinx it, don't you?
No, you don't really want to jinx it, but...
And I remember Phil, not once, not twice, but 3 times now, from what I remember, saying Elise has got this, and then after that, okay, this is my fault. So that is why I'm saying it. I'm not saying this because, of course, he says Elise. I'm saying it because, well, I remember certain things.
There you go.
Let's hope it doesn't happen this time.
Speed read, Dan, and getting on quick.
So Alan Tuna first, second Carl Hardy, Carl Jacklin third, Dale Bettis at 4, Darrell Wright P5, P6 for Peter Van Gool, Ralph Cullen in P7, Jamie Ayres P8, Charles Kennan in P9, Roger Morton in P10, Daniel Hunt P12, Pete Newman 11, P13 Steve Hafford, Steve Hansford P14, P15 Mick Barry, P16 Andy Littler, Craig Jones 17, and 18 Elise Main, all the way from the back.
Okay, well, here we go once again. The lights are on. We've got Sir Alan Toon in first. And we are going to be green, green, green. Going down now. Alan Toon leads the way. Carl Jackley is in second place currently as well as we're heading down now. There is the front two. Alan Toon's all the way to the right. Jackley's looking at going out the inside. He does here, but further back they're free wide there as well with Ralph Cullen and Dale Bennison and Jamie Ayres. PVG's off. Oh,
again.
Tapped by. Oh no! Look.
Race 4, ladies and gentlemen.
Hunt, Newman, PVG, Steve Hefford, Craig Jones, Elise Main, all involved in that one. And, well, kind of starts here, really. Love tap from Ralph Cullinan going into free, puts him round. Jamie Ayres taps him as well. Pete's coming back into track. There he goes. Newman, Hefford, everybody.
That was a weird one though for Newman. It looked like the rear end of Pete Van Gool's car said, no, you're not going past, and grabbed him and turned him around.
Oh, there's Cole Hardy. There's Craig Jones. They've been off as well.
That's Cullinan, not Craig Jones, I think, because Craig Jones is in P11 still.
There's Ralph Cullen on the outside of 6. Oh, Jamie tapped him round.
And then the same happened for Cullinan.
Yeah.
Just got, well, spun round by a slight contact.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly is going on this evening.
Well, Carl Jackley is out in front by about 4.5 seconds. Alan Toon is in second place. Go on, Alan. As he's Jamie Ayres just goes past him there as well. Alan Toon's now got about 8 taps back to Darrell right behind that with Charles Kellerman in the mix. Hansford as well. There's going to be some midfield battles we're going to be keeping an eye on, and they're going to be starting around about Charles Kellerman, I think, here down this evening.
Well, Charles Kellerman is now going to have to defend from Mick Barry. Can Mick Barry make his way past Sir Alan Toon? Though James at the moment in the lead of the AM class. Darrell Wright in second. What did Sir Alan Toon do here? Because he's not slow at the moment. He's looking racy here.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll you know, put it in. You know, give it some beans and go for it, because you know this circuit is open to anything. And yes, he may not be, as his own word said, he's not faster than the other guys up in front of him, and he knows that. But he does. I'd like to see him give it a good old go, and I think that's what I want to see from Alan Toon here, as he's running side by side with Darrell Wright. Now, Darrell Wright has got past. Is Charles Kellerman going to come past as well? Oh, Mick Barry's gone out in front of Steve Hefford. They're going to be free wide going down into 10A. Are they? No. Mick Barry's Alan Toon sent it on Darrell Wright, and has now had to try and get out of the way for Charles Kellerman. There's going to be almost contact with Mick Barry. Oh.
Well, a little bit further back though, I think Mick Barry kind of cut off Steve Hefford as well. I don't know if we can get a replay of that. And there he goes. He has to allow them all pause. Is that damage? Is that a slowdown? I don't really know. I think it is a slowdown there for Mick Barry, and contact now with his teammate. Contact now with, oh, that's a big hit for Craig Jones. Once again out of it. And that is not what you want to see. I think that's Elise Main out of it as well. And, well, yeah. I said it before the race started. And I'm, well, Mick Barry's cutting all sorts of corners there, I think.
There's Dale Bennison at the bottom. Mick's got another slowdown. Hansford, Main. Daniel Hunt is out completely. So this is where Daniel Hunt went off track. This is the battle with, he's alongside PVG currently.
no steering input anymore. Maybe that's a steering issue.
Maybe.
That's a hardware issue. Could be both of them. Here we go then, Charles Kellerman. Steve Hefford is trying to go around the outside, down the inside now for 9. And you will have the outside for 10A, the inside for 10B. I would prefer the outside though. They're gonna go 3 wide with Darrell Wright as well, and they both make it past. So in losing a position by Kellerman, he also gains one. So effectively he stays where he is. Pete Newman now trying to make his pass, or his way past Pete Van Gool, also pressurized by Ralph Cullinan behind him though. So this one is not over yet here, James.
No, definitely not at the moment, especially within this battle. Ralph Cullinan, Pete Newman, PVG battling over 8th, 9th and 10th, which is not something you would have expected here tonight, but that's the situation we're in. Carl Jacklett has got the ever-looming Jamie Ayres currently right behind him as well. Carl has now got his gap, but he's gone down to about 6 tenths and is losing time absolutely rapidly currently at the moment. So Jacklett is under attack, but he does have a nice 5-second buffer to Steve Hefford, who's in 3rd place currently at the moment. So there is the gainers and losers. Hefford's up 10, Kellerman's 5, Ayres 6, Jacklett 2. Beyond that, Carl Hardy down 10, Ralph Cullinan as well. Hunt, Main, Hansford and Morton are all looking like they are out of this race. So Jamie Ayres now is looking to climb in over the baggage. Carl Jacklett is going to be looking at taking the outside line here now as they go running down into 10A and 10B. I think Jamie Ayres is going to get this down.
Jamie Ayres will have the inside. I prefer the outside here where Jacklett is at the moment, because you have the inside for 10B, but you have to carry it around the outside of 10A. Can't do so. And that's the move done for Jamie Ayres. A little bit further back though, Pete Van Gool and Pete Newman were side by side. Pete Newman though has that one before we get to the braking zone of 10A. And now Pete Van Gool has to watch out Ralph Cullinan behind that. Further back, it is Mick Barry trying to, attack Carl Hardy ahead of him. This is for overall position, not in class. But at the front of the field though, Jamie Ayres at the moment in control, but I think if Carl Jacklett can keep where he is now, he might have a chance to come back at him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to try and stay within that half-second toe, that draft. You know, he did a 1:37, Jamie Ayres dead. Carl Jacklett did a 1:38.4. So clearly there's a speed difference, right? We can see that on track, and that isn't any detrimental effect to Jacklett. But we've also seen anything can happen, and I think he's got to try and stay with Ayres, because that man in the background there is not going to let him off lightly with 5 laps remaining. Steve Hefford is going to come at him like an absolute banshee. So from Jacklett's point of view, he needs to be able to close as much as he can, try and carry as much as he can with Ayres, because otherwise 3.8 seconds, not massive over the next 5 laps. But Newman here now is having him go with Sir Alan Toon. What is Toon going to do this time around here on lap 5? I see David's put Alan for pro. That was earlier on, but he is on the podium in his class currently at the moment, Dan. So that's not a bad feat so far.
Not at all. I think if I were Sir Alan Toon, I would not lose too much time fighting these people. I would try and get into the slipstream of Pete Newman. Try and learn a few of his lines, of course. And there he goes. He's gonna go and get out of the way from them all. Oh, goes a bit deep into 10A though. Runs Pete Van Gool off their track, or Pete Van Gool has to take avoiding action off their track. There we go, Sir Alan Toon down to P9, but no Pete Van Gool, James, he can't get a break this evening either. Neither can Elise Main. 3 races with a DNF for her.
Yeah, not a great night. Not a great night overall there for Elise Main. It's all going to be about this little battle here with Hefford and the time of Carl Jacklett. I think that's going to be where it's all going to kick off. Carl Hardy here is having to go with Andy Littler up into turn 3. Oh, Littler got his brakes heavy there. Carl Hardy just kind of got stuck there, didn't really know where to go, but behind him he's got the Mick Barry behind that. So that's going to be an interesting one. What do we feel the chat's going to be? You know, it's tough, isn't it, in a team race, right?
Yeah.
Now, we always sit back and say, don't take out your teammate.
Rule number 1.
Rule number 1. You know, the results guys have come together again this evening. So, where do you go? I think that's where I'm going with this, Dan, is where do you go with it? Because you can't avoid your teammate every single time. And then, you know, if your teammate's going spinning past you and you can't do a lot about it, and sometimes accidents happen.
Yeah, true, but if I was them, and well, I would take it extra cautious with my teammate. That's just my type of racing style, especially my teammate. I would make sure I get out of the way as quick as possible if he's a lap ahead or something. But of course, that's normally not the case in this sprint series. So I would just race him a little bit more cautious than all the others. Of course, it depends if you're in a championship battle. I would race him just as hard as all the others. But it also depends, as deeply into championship as we are right now. They're 3 wide, Sir Alan Tuno. Ooh, that was quite close there.
That's Andy Littler.
Or Andy Littler, I'm sorry, who's trying to make his way past Hardy and Mick Barry, but manages to lose out to both of them.
Yeah, Alan Toon's a little bit further up the field. There he is in 10th place currently. Putting the job done here this evening, but this is where the action is. Carl Hardy and Mick Barry. I think it's going to be an interesting one here because they are different classes, but Hardy seems to have struggled this evening.
Well, let's just say that Carl Hardy has had an off day, I think, because, well, normally we see him at least a little bit higher up the order, if not in the top 5. So, yeah, I think this is maybe not a track that he likes as much as all the others, maybe a track that he dislikes. It could be both of those, but we're looking at Ralph Cullen now going up the inside of Dale Bennison. Makes that pass stick. He's now up into P7. Newman, the driver ahead of him. But the question is he going to get there a little bit further back? Mick Barry's going to try and make that pass on Carl Hardy. Can't do so though into 10A, 10B, the exit though. A better exit for Mick Barry. Looking back further at the front here. Ralph Cullen trying to defend from Dale Bennison. Can do so this time round. And I think at the moment it is all settling down a little.
Carl is carrying more weight. Maybe Carl Hardy is. I'm hearing Discord notifications. Is it coming from the transmission? Well, I'm not hearing them, and normally I do when Dan and Mabe have left his on. So I don't think it's coming from me this time around.
Maybe from himself. Is he watching it on a computer? Then maybe from himself.
Yeah, could possibly be. I'm not entirely sure, Gearhead, what you're hearing there, buddy. I don't know. I can't answer that one. But Mick Barry has just run wide here with nearly catches the back end of Carl Hardy. And poor old David Ayres in chat there would have been clenching there because he would have had to pay out another fortune on replacement car parts.
Well, it's never good to see a driver go off track. Of course, David himself knows the heavy bill. Of course, I think at 1.4 results guys were out at a race, so he knows what a repair bill costs from those cars. Meanwhile, though, Pete Van Gool going up the inside of Dale Bennison. Dale Bennison dropping down the order quicker than an elevator at Trump Towers.
Ooh, thief. There goes Mick Barry on Carl Hardy there. Mick still trying to get past Carl. Carl looks like he's got the run down maybe out of turn 7. That's allowing his defence at the moment of this position. But Carl Jacquelet, however, is not going to be sitting comfortable at the moment. He's got Steve Hefford right behind him, and we've only got one more lap remaining. Can Jacquelet hold this, or will the ever-looming Steve Hefford close up over the next lap? And that's where it's going to be coming from. And also with Pete Newman and Darrell Wright here, they're locked horns in basically 5th and 6th. Wright is leading the AM, so I'm not expecting Wright to try and fight too much here, Dan.
It depends how much he wants it. That's the question. Of course, he is in the lead of the AM class. It just depends how much he wants that 5th position overall. He might even help Pete Newman to throw him along the straight. No, he does not, because he gets a worse run out of 7 into 8 now. If I was him, I would just let this one go. This is not for position in your class. You're already winning in class. I would just not take the risk here with, well, 1 lap to go.
Yeah, absolutely here as well. Jacklett is holding on from Steve Hefford currently as well. So Ayres is out in front. And all Ayres really has to do is complete this final lap of this race of round 4, race 4 here this evening. Jamie Ayres starts the final lap. Carl Jacklett is still under attack from Steve Hefford. Carl Hardy is still under attack from Mick Barry. Hefford's got up the inside of Jacklett on the final lap, and I think, Dan, that could be done. I don't know if
it depends,
if Jacklett can get back.
Yeah, it depends if Jacklett can get within that 4 tenths at the back straight. If he can, though, there is a good opportunity that he can. But at the moment, Carl Jacklett losing a little bit to Steve Hefford on every corner exit. A little bit further back, though, Pete Van Gool trying to make his way past Ralph Cullinan. Can he do so? That's the question, of course, that is going to be answered this lap. And not after that, because this is the last lap of the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Run, but yeah. I don't think he's going to be able to do it this time. And if I was him, I would stick behind.
Yeah, stick behind, wait for that run as well. At least maintenance. Let's do it again. 4 more. Dan won't be able to do 4 more. It'll be exceedingly late, and he will have his dad literally telling him off. So we won't be able to do 4 more. And Phil says that you cannot say that without paying James as the copyrights.
I already did. James. You know that, right?
I'll discount it off. But BBG and Ralph Cullinan on this run down now into 10A and 10B. It looks like Pete's going to hold it this time around, but we've got to go up front. Jamie Ayres is going to come across the line and take the victory here in the pros with Steve Hefford in 2nd place. And Carl Jacklett comes across the line in 3rd there as well. So well done to Jamie Ayres. That was absolutely incredible. Carl Jacklett in 3rd, Newman in 4th. Darrell Wright takes the victory in the AMs. Pete Van Gool behind him, Ralph Cullinan behind that as well. Dale Benison hangs on to 2nd place in the AMs, as does Sir Alan Toon, takes the podium in the AM class here this evening. Sir Alan Toon comes across the line ahead of Carl Hardy, who manages to clear Mick Barry. I wonder what happened to Mick Barry, because he kind of all of a sudden disappeared out the battle.
Really what happened there, James. Maybe some kind of disconnect or something, or went off track somewhere.
Well, this is it now. This is the pass. There goes Mick there. So I'm not entirely sure where Mick goes.
Track maybe.
But there's nothing showing up. But he lost to Craig Jones and Andy Littler.
Oh, here we go. There it probably is.
Oh! And it's gone.
Okay then. That's a weird one.
So there we go. Right. The results are up for the final time this evening here tonight. Dan, off you go. Read us through.
Well, there we go. For the final time this evening, it's going to be Jamie Ayres who wins in race 4. Steve Hefford is the one who comes through second, 1.4 behind Jamie Ayres. Carl Jacklett, the one to round off the overall podium in P3. Charles Kellyman in P4. P5 for the one and only Pete Newman. Also, well, let's just say, not a great evening for Pete Newman. A lot of, well, Top Guns having tough luck here this evening at Road Atlanta. And I think that's just, well, a characteristic of the track as well. Darrell Wright in P6, the winner of the AM class out of Pete Van Gool in 7th overall. Ralph Cullinan in 8th. Dale Benison 2nd in the AM class and 9th overall ahead of Sir Alan Toon, 3rd in the AM class and 10th overall. Carl Hardy in P11, P12 for Craig Jones, P13 Andy Littler, Mick Barry P14 ahead of Steve Hansford in P15, and the Lee's main Roger Morton and Daniel Hunt, all of them not making it to the finish flag.
Finish flag.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was different. There we go, guys. That rounds out race 4. And I think you'll have to admit that was kind of one of the intense ones this evening. You know, a few big collisions there as well. And, you know, people taking out, like, Van Gaal, Morton, Newman, Hefford, Newman, Hunt, Jones, Main was taken out, Hardy, Benison, Cullinan then as well. We lost Daniel Hunt, McBarry, Elise Main again, Steve Hansford has jumped into the pits after this one. So, yeah, Steve Hansford there going off and then sort of really being involved with the accident. Just want to have a quick look back. Did Steve just run wide in turn 1? Is that where the problem lies? Oh, no, there's Mick Barry, Craig Jones. Ah, nope. Forgot that. Craig Jones there as well, caught up, and Elise Main. So that was a fairly big one. So there we go. That is it for this. Mick's fault. Yeah, I saw Craig. I'm surprised you jumped in the booth, to be honest, mate. I'm quite, you know, great night racing, great broadcast. Thanks for all your excellent evening's entertainment. No worries, David. Thank you very much. I thought it was in the US, not Finland. That's a dig at you, Dan. That's not me. So there we go. And obviously, Mick's fault. Craig. Craig, a few words, just jumps in the booth and basically just turns around and said, yeah, Mick's fault. So there we go, guys. Well, Dan, sum it up for us for tonight in one sentence. What can you say?
Well, I would say flashbacks to Phillip Island. And as always, close racing.
Okay. Well done. It has been a night, guys, I've got to be honest, and I think it's one that we can all sit back and enjoy once again. But if you are here for the first time, much love to you. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, turn on the bells for notifications, and also give the channel a big old subscribe, because that will be absolutely amazing. And some of the action we've got coming up for you this week as well. Well, as I say, we got the UK SimRacers here on Tuesday. Then on Thursday night, we've got the Radical Race series from Bathurst, as well as the TSRC from Mazzano GT3s from ACC. And then on Sunday night, we have got the FBL special event from Bathurst, which is the endurance event with myself and Dan Pepels again this Sunday as well. And then next week, it gets even crazier. We got Ant Fame from Suzuka on Monday night. Sunday Drive Racing as well, early Monday or Tuesday morning. Then the UK SimRacers from Knock Hill in Tuesday evening. Then next week on Thursday, we've got the RRS, which is the Radical Race Series from Nordschleife, TSRC from Brands, and Crest Autosport, all coming next Thursday evening. So be aware there is free broadcasts happening next Thursday, all at the same time. So that's going to be exciting, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah, well, all the action that we have here, of course, James, is it's always exciting, and you know, I'm looking forward to the restart of the Crest Autosports TCR competition. But that, though, is not this week. That's in 2 weeks' time.
Absolutely. So there we go, guys. That rounds out tonight's broadcast. All that's left for me to say is for myself and Dan Pepels, you all take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.